Teen, how long are you going to be on, man?
Undetermined as of yet. I'll probably just go until I don't really feel like it anymore. Um,
Valid.
been on for like 2 hours. It's five. I could go until like seven, maybe. What's up, Brandon? Did you vote for Trump?
I did. I want to say one thing first before we get into any kind of debate or anything. I saw you on a Jubilee episode. I think you're actually a pretty smart Democrat.
Hey, I appreciate it.
I tend to lean more independent, but I did vote for Trump this time. Two key factors. I do believe that inflation has and inflation is down right now. But inflation is caused a surge in the price of everyday goods that is becoming unsustainable for a lot of low income people.
Yeah, that's why. So, I mean, I don't think that the Biden Harris administration caused any inflation. I think that the pandemic did, and they mitigated it more so and better than the leadership of any other country in the G7. And Kamala Harris's policy was actually oriented to reduce inflation more than Trump's. Trump's is actually projected to cause it
How so?
through
Elaborate.
tariffs. So,
So with the tariffs, okay. Here's one thing. You were talking to the one guy that couldn't properly explain why tariffs are actually a good thing. Tariffs can actually be a good thing because what it will also do, if a country does not want to, or certain businesses do not want to pay to import their goods into our country, they can also have the option to build factories in our country, create jobs for American people, and avoid paying those tariffs.
it's not worth it to them because at the end of the day, like their only
It is.
consideration is going to be like, okay, so if they take that tariff and they keep their profit margins by increasing the price of their product that they sell to consumers in the U.S. Like
It would
how
be
much?
cheaper for them
Yeah,
to make it here
well, no, that's a thing that
with the tariff in place.
actually I still don't think that's the case.
That's definitely not. It would actually be more expensive because goods within the United States would be more expensive because there's less available supply of different types of goods in the United States, like available to consumers
How
because
so
of the
when they're
tariff.
building, when they're
Because the
making
tariff raises the price of goods to like
but they
importers.
wouldn't but they wouldn't be paying the tariffs if they're making building a factory in the United
I
States.
understand, but like that's going to be more expensive. The reason why that will be more expensive is because that's already been priced out of the market.
Yeah, and did we see any Chinese companies move to America after Trump imposed tariffs on them in 2018?
Actually, yeah, and actually one came right here to Ohio.
Like what?
I can't remember. I can't remember the name of the company, but there was a big factory that opened up here, and we actually have it's a town that's they had a big thing on the news around here where it was a Chinese factory that opened up, and they had a lot of their Chinese / English speaking workers here training some of the English speaking workers, and they also work like coincided, go hand in hand, work together.
Yeah. Also, one thing that you're not taking into account is that there's certain things that like are not produced here in the United States and that they're produced around the world, right? And those putting a tariff on those will actively just make it more expensive.
Yeah, I would agree that
You would totally agree on that.
there's certain things that we should not put a tariff on. But when we're talking about like let's just say auto manufacturing, why would we just send it right across the border to Mexico, and then import it to here? We've lost American jobs that way, but by imposing that tariff, it'll incentivize the company to move right back across the border, like Ford.
I understand, but then the goods you buy will be significantly more expensive.
They wouldn't be.
And you know
Yes,
that
they would be. That's
there's
how
other
tariffs works.
there's other
That's how they
ways.
would increase domestic production.
Then there's other
They
ways that we could
wouldn't
increase
pay the
domestic
tariff
production
if
of
they
goods
move
without tariffs.
their factory back into the United States. If they move the factory back into the
Brandon, there's
United
other
States.
ways to increase the domestic production of goods. Like the most obvious is just investing money into them. Like I think instead of imposing tariffs to increase the domestic production of goods, that creates inefficiencies like inflation and in trade wars. That we could just like invest like billions and billions and billions of dollars right, into American producers, right, to enable them to produce more. I mean, Trump did it with the Farm Bill and it worked. Biden and Harris did it with the Chips and
But I
Science Act
wouldn't.
and it worked. And then Biden and Harris did it with the Infrastructure Bill and it worked.
But
Right. So every single time it's worked.
I wouldn't want that across the board because when you get to that means the government has control of which companies succeed and which ones fail.
Well, I mean, you do it you do it with an algorithm. right? So you're not just choosing them based upon some preference, right? You draft policy that like basically rewards success, right? Rewards like quality goods that have a good long term projection insofar as potential buyers. The market is good, and you want to reward that.
I can understand that, but I think that there's a lot of backroom deals that go on, especially with like our representatives. That some of the legislative things that have gone through that have benefited the pockets of our politicians, and I think that one of the things is trying to, because there's a lot of companies that get around regulation.
I'm gonna go grab some ice cream real quick, Parker. I'll be right back.
Okay, so here, can I ask you a question? Can you name like two Trump economic policies that you like that he influenced to get passed already?
I think the tariff thing, I don't know the exact details of all of the tariff things, because he does throw out numbers as like, well, we'll put on 200% tariff, and I know that some of that stuff is not necessarily going to happen, but I do think that there's going to be certain things that will be in place. I do think that in the school system, giving that back to the states, because as the United States, we are kind of a big
These aren't things he's passed already, but you're saying that you want to get rid of the Department of Education.
I would get rid of the Department of Education. It's been around for about 40 years now, and we've actually seen an overall decline in literacy over the last 40 years.
Okay, so then here's my question then. You think that how do you think that there are going to be federal established standards for, say, like students who are disabled?
I think that should be on a state-to-state basis.
Okay, so you think some states should be able to restrict care for disabled students?
No, I think it would be up to the states.
You just said it should be left up to the states, so some states should be able to do that? Or should that be federally protected?
How do you mean? What
should it be federally protected to give disabled students access to basic types of care?
Well, that goes back to community. What do we do before that?
Yeah, but there's federal protections to establish that.
I'll give you an example. If we had disabled kids in our school, we had special programs, and those were funded by our education system. If we didn't,
which is federally protected. It's federally protected to create those particular types of programs in plenty of instances through the Department of Education. If you want to get rid of the Department of Education, you want to leave it to the states specifically, then you're saying the state should be able to restrict disabled kids from getting access to that.
Well,
based on whether or not they want to fund it.
The Department of Education, we would be giving that back to the states.
Yeah, I understand that you're saying that, but what you're not understanding
to handle those issues by themselves.
Yeah, you want states to be able to restrict.
I don't think anybody
being able to get access to those types of programs.
Yeah, but you're saying it's going to restrict access by sending it back.
Yes, because it's providing equal access to education.
It doesn't restrict access. I think
yes, they can. If you leave it to the states, they can restrict access of these different types of programs.
And you'll see some states will have better outcomes and some states will not. And then what we're going to do is we're going to model after the states that are successful in those programs.
Okay, so why do you have to give them the authority to be able to restrict?
Or people are going to move out of those states, and the state doesn't want.
Yeah, so parents with disabled children have to move states to be able to make sure that their children have access to equal education.
I didn't say that. I'm saying that they should.
Exactly what you said, but you just don't realize it.
They should, when it goes back to the states, they should be advocating to get certain legislation passed. And I don't think on both sides of the aisle, I don't think anybody locally is going to vote against certain measures. We have school levies and all that stuff for.
So you say that, and like that's exactly what Republicans said about like the exceptions in terms of abortion. Oh no specific state's going to restrict a woman's access to an abortion if they're assaulted. That's exactly what you guys fucking said. Right, and look what happened. When you leave it to the states, there are some states that just don't give a shit about those students. And I care about those students, and I want them to be federal protections.
They're going to drive people out of their state.
That's not a good thing to force people in those places to do that.
It is a good thing.
No, it's not. It's good to federally protect
because the United States is a melting pot. We are we are a big place that has a lot of different views. If
A lot of views of
place
whether or
that
not
we're
it's
living-
okay to restrict literally disabled children from getting equal access to education. That's what you're arguing.
Do you think that we should send like a woman's right to vote back down to the state level?
No.
Why?
Absolutely not.
Why?
Because that should absolutely be protected at a federal level.
Why?
Because
We're like a melting pot, bro.
Yeah, why? I want you to answer the question. Why?
Because it's a ridiculous question.
No, well, it is a ridiculous question, but I want you to give an answer.
And it's also ridiculous to like not federally protect to disabled students equal access to education. That's like that's actually insane.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure that we agree that should be protected at the federal level because just like conceptually the idea of a state.
But you're wanting to leave everything to protection at the federal level.
Stop talking, please. So I'm pretty sure that we like agree that a woman's right to vote should be protected at the federal level because like the idea.
Yeah, it's a human right.
Come on, could you stop? Thanks. Because the idea of a state making it illegal for women to vote is like incredibly immoral, right? But I'd say the same thing about like disabled students not having equal access to proper education.
And I would agree.
And that's why we agree. That's why we should protect it at the federal level.
I wouldn't necessarily 100%. You're going to have worse outcomes. You're going to have worse outcomes in some states, and you're going to have better outcomes in other states. And I'll just take like marijuana legalization.
Okay, you're fucking yourself over. Brandon caught a stray, quite frankly. All right, we're going to move on to our next guest. I'm over here snacking on some ice cream, so I'm going to let Parker take it away for most of the time. I do have a couple of donuts to read off here, though. What's up, Rob? Howdy.
I'm sorry, I'm literally like.
Oh, finally! My God!
You're
All right, I've never been in one of these.
Did you vote for Trump?
Rudolph, bro.
I did vote for Trump.
Awesome. Just give me one moment. Haley, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo. I do really appreciate you so much for the love. Much respect for you. You're probably the most respectful Democrat I've watched and listened to for a while, and we have different views on politics. Well, Haley, I do really appreciate you so much for the $10. Everybody, please do show some love to Haley. Amy, thank you so much for the $5. Julia with the $5. TJ with the $5. And Rebecca with $1. Show some love to Amy, Julia, TJ, and Rebecca, and Haley. All right, take it away, man. Why did you vote for Trump?
And Rebecca, thank you for the $1. And Sophia, thank you for the $1.
Look,
and Eleanor, thank you for the $5. Thank you.
Like, there are things that I
Connor,
like
thank you
about
for the
Trump.
$2.
There are things that I like about Trump. There are things that I don't like about Trump. All right. But I think fundamentally, the other side has proven that they are completely incapable of running the country in a way that is conducive for the American people. I mean, there's
Like, what do you mean?
Just blatant lying. I mean, the easiest thing to point to is, just covering up Biden's mental state, which we knew, minimum 2 years in, he's clearly mentally incapacitated. And there's blatant lying at every single step, right?
Give me an example of the lie that they said.
Karine Jean-Pierre got up in front of the press every single day and said he's sharp.
Wait, I'm talking about the administration, not like people in the media. Because I could say, well, there's plenty of people
in the administration.
Sorry, I apologize.
For the president.
Not only are there people specifically who are within the administration, but also like in the party, vastly said that Trump won the 2020 election. Trump said it himself.
Look,
right?
That's
tried to undermine the election results. Is that a lie that just isn't relevant to you?
Something that I don't believe. But that's also, first of all, less important than
less important, undermining our federal democracy.
Less important than the mental state of our actual president, who actually represents us.
You understand that that's undermining our democracy, right?
There's so many things that undermine the democracy. What undermines the democracy more than having a president who is completely mentally incapacitated?
He's not completely mentally incapacitated. That's a ridiculous statement. I agree that there's been cognitive decline, but to say that he's completely mentally incapacitated is fucking delusional and avoided from reality. Like, you have no fucking clue what you're saying. Okay, maybe you're going to say that he's completely unable to engage in any task.
Completely is an exaggeration.
You're fucking exaggerating.
What's a bigger joke?
The basis of your point. Listen, the basis of your point is the exaggeration. That's what the basis of your point is. Okay, the actual threat to democracy is undermining the results of an election when there's no evidence indicating
it's actually not the basis of my point, and you're completely off the topic. The idea that Biden—that's
not off the topic. You said, "Oh my God, they lied about this." Is that not a significantly greater lie?
The topic was this: is Biden mentally ready and prepared to be our president? Not
Yes, I actually,
is the
yes.
correct answer. Not at
Yes.
all is the correct answer.
Wait,
Right?
no, that's not the
Regardless of
correct
my
answer.
exaggeration,
Wait,
yes,
wait.
it's
If you think that
completely
Trump is mentally competent enough to be president, well, then all you're saying is that he has the necessary qualities of fulfilling the president of the United States. I think that exists.
We can argue about what president's better than.
Yeah. I think that Joe Biden meets the criteria for specifically like what would be necessary of a president of the United States. Now, is it to the degree that I would want? Absolutely not. But that does not say that he's not the necessary qualities to be president. And the question that you're asking is, does Joe Biden have the necessary qualities of being president? Now, someone saying that is not fucking lying, right? That's not a lie. What's an actual lie is denying the results of the 2020 election when there's no evidence, no court case that indicates that you have sufficient evidence to overturn the election. For years upon years upon years, he did that and got tens of millions of people to believe that. That's actually spreading lies, okay? Rob, you can unmute, click the profile picture, and then click the microphone. And people telling Dean to stop chewing his ice cream is wild. It's so much better that way, okay? Absolutely, I chew that shit. Cope. Yo, Rob, are you there, bro?
Oh, sorry, I muted myself by accident.
You're good.
I have a lot of respect for you guys. I think you guys know what you're talking about. You're well informed. But what I can't get my head around, genuinely, is how you're kind of going along with this clear media narrative that Biden was like at all mentally able or met the threshold to be president of the United States. It should
Wait, what's your
scare
argument for
everyone.
why he doesn't?
It should scare everyone. I mean, us and 80 million Americans saw the debate, right? It was a joke. And
that doesn't mean at all that.
Because they couldn't hide it anymore.
Dude, I would literally take Joe Biden incapacitated on a fucking IV over Donald Trump.
It's had material impacts on his policy making and his presidency.
Give me one policy you dislike of Joe Biden.
The pullout from Afghanistan, Biden was completely unreachable, and it has been said by people close to him that his mental incapacity absolutely impacted this.
Wait, so you accept people close to them. So what about the people that were close to Donald Trump, a part of his administration, that said that he's unfit to be president, right? A threat to international politics, right? Who said specifically that he was a fascist, right? Who said that veterans, right, are suckers and losers, right? Do you listen to those people around Donald Trump, or you only apply this standard to Joe Biden? Rob, click the micro. There you go.
It's just so clear who has the energy to do the job and who doesn't. Do I wish maybe someone else besides Donald Trump? And again, I don't like January 6th. I think that was bad, and I think it's good that we.
Did you even hear what my question was?
No. What was it?
Do you only apply this standard specifically to Joe Biden, or do you also apply that standard to Donald Trump, where he had multiple people around him saying that he's a laughing fool to foreign leaders around the world, he's unfit for president of the United States, he's a fascist, and said that veterans are suckers and losers?
Okay, the veterans sucker and losers is completely debunked. It's off topic.
No, it's not. That was his ex-chief of staff.
It's completely off topic. All right.
No, it's not. That was his ex-chief of staff. You said people around him. That was a part of his administration. Someone he appointed.
We are getting so far. Like you just.
How is that off topic? You literally brought up. Oh, there were people around Joe Biden that said this about Afghanistan. Okay, let's say you accept that. I'll accept that. Now, specifically, were there people around Donald Trump that said things that were significantly worse that you don't believe? Absolutely. So you don't apply this standard to anyone other than Joe Biden.
There have been such blatant lies coming out of this administration. And let's look empirically. Let's look actually empirically.
Is there a response to what I said?
Let's actually look empirically at the success of both of these administrations. The Biden administration.
Before we go into that, do you want to respond to what I just said?
What?
You aren't listening to a single thing that I'm saying. Is this a conversation that's back and forth?
Look.
You called Joe Biden sleepy, but you haven't responded to a single fucking point I've made this entire time. Who's sleepy in this conversation?
Let me take a deep breath.
Are you even critical enough of thought in order to be able to critically evaluate whether or not he is in the state of mind to be able to be president of the United States? Can you even evaluate that?
What are you talking about in terms of like people close to him like saying these things? Like these things are completely debunked. The suckers and losers thing is not.
What was debunked? Story. How was it debunked?
It's not a real story.
Yes, it is. Yes, that was his ex-chief of staff. What are you talking about?
It's completely fake story, and it also has.
No, it's not. It is, Rob. You're literally lying right now. That was not a fake story. It was brought up by his ex-chief of staff.
Okay, like you would actually have to prove that to me in a way that's like.
He said it. He's a 4-star general.
The burden of proof of like.
He's a 4-star general. Look up 4-star general says Donald Trump called veterans suckers and losers.
I have my computer right in front of me, typing
Yes.
away.
4-star general said Donald Trump called veterans suckers and losers.
All right.
I just killed that whole tub of ice cream, and the scariest part is that I want another one.
Go for it.
Well, I don't have another one, but I wish I did.
Let's see.
Okay. Dun 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 dun
That Ben and Jerry's is just so good, man.
It is. It's fire.
Yeah, I got the chocolate fudge brownie. Like literally.
Oh, I love
like,
chocolate fudge brownie.
most OP ice cream flavor ever made.
Oh yeah. Oh, dude, you're so right, bro. Yo, W's in the chat for that.
So
Base,
OP.
so fucking base, dude. Chocolate fudge brownie smacks.
Yup. In the meantime, for the 6.4 thousand people watching, make sure that we're double tapping away on that phone screen. If you want to support me, support Parker, the Venmos, the PayPals, the Cash Apps, they're all in the bios. Y'all already know. In fact, I think I got one. I should read off. Let me go and pull it up here. Let's see what we got. Aaliyah, thank you for the $1 on Venmo, saying, did you debate in high school? If so, what for? I did not. Thank you for the $1, Aaliyah.
Ellie, think of the $5.
I actually
Ellie, think of the $5, and Tree, think of the $2. What's
I
that?
want to give some other people a chance. This me researching this in 1 minute is not like gonna come up with anything.
Okay, well, we'll
Productive
add someone
here.
else up. You can stay up here.
Well, I mean, all right, yeah, no, that'd be great. Because
It doesn't take that long to look up. It's right there, dude.
look, like you got to sift through all this information. Like I gotta,
Ab, thank you so much for the $2.39.
Rob, why do you sound familiar?
I don't know, but look, I
You talked before?
What? No, because I've never been on one of these. But look, I have a lot of respect for you guys as debaters. I just like there are just certain like facts regarding the Democrat Party and this administration that you guys have kind of this administration that you guys have verbally been kind of propping up that I just
Like
think
what?
are completely like unconscionable.
I just want to put it out there. This isn't a attempt.
Specifically,
I just want to. I don't want to make it clear. This isn't. Are you gonna take the time to look into what you wanted to look into, or try to bring something else up?
Hi, Dean.
I mean, all right, yeah, we can get someone else here. You can talk to them. I mean, everyone else up here.
Dude, I looked it up. It comes up immediately. By the way, like there's like a million articles that come up immediately.
Right, it's John Kelly's word saying this.
Wait, who is that? Was he a part of his administration? Was he around Trump?
I presume he was around Trump. I mean, but
Yeah,
like,
so a part of his administration. So you literally brought that up as a
Hi,
cited
Dean.
source specifically for Joe Biden to indicate, Joe Biden was incapacitated specifically with the Afghanistan withdrawal, which was set up by Trump originally, who gave 5,000 Taliban fighters, specifically the Taliban, right, to get us in that agreement in the first place.
Okay.
Right? But you're not addressing the fact that Donald Trump specifically, there were people around him said he was unfit to be president, laughing fool, said veterans are suckers and losers, and called him a fascist.
so we can take both of these narratives and maybe for the sake of productivity, we can discount them as both completely unimportant, right? Because there's like people say things like I'll rescind it. Like, look, yeah, people around people say things. Let's look empirically though. What happened with Afghanistan, right? Like, what actually happened?
Yeah, so if you want to grant because the service members died under the administration, well, there were 65 service members that died in the military in conflict under the Trump administration comparative to the 16 under the Biden-Harris administration. So I like how you apply that standard to Joe Biden, but you're not willing to apply that standard to Donald Trump.
Is there anything even remotely similar to what happened in Afghanistan where a president, he made a decision and people died?
Wait,
what
let's
decision
talk.
did Joe Biden make?
Wait. Let's talk about making the decision leading to the deaths of people. Where did that Taliban bomber come from?
I have no idea. I mean, you guys
was one of the 5,000 Taliban prisoners imprisoned at Camp David, right? That Donald Trump negotiated the release of directly with the Taliban before Biden assumed office.
The idea that the Afghanistan withdrawal is anything but a blight on the Biden administration, and
Rob just got cooked and doesn't even realize it because he didn't hear him. Bro, did you hear Dean at all?
And then Donald Trump claimed that he had a plan for the
I mean, look, like
of Afghanistan.
we can go back.
And then Donald Trump said that he had a plan for the pullout of Afghanistan, right? Because that's something that he wanted to do at the end of his administration, right? He had set it in motion, right? And then
It was actually a gradual pullout, but Biden expeditiously sped it up too quickly.
Nope, he actually extended it. It was extended. There was an agreement specifically that Biden made with the Taliban to extend the date to give them more time to leave. That's a complete and total lie.
We can just look at this empirically. Like, I don't know where you're getting these talking points from. Like everyone, and this is
from the military executives that literally said this.
Why Trump won, because this narrative keeps getting pushed, and people don't like you're not supposed to believe your own eyes about what administration was better, right?
No,
like,
you look at NPR, look at AP News, look at PBS, look at independent media, and then you can make your determination. If you don't look at media and you only listen to what Donald Trump says, you're gonna have a skewed version of reality.
But I feel like that's not what I do, right? Like
okay, where did you get this information from? Like seriously, where did you guys get that? Like that guy just left because he had completely skewed information. Right?
Where do I get my information from?
Yeah, where do you get your information from?
Hey, look, can I be really transparent with you guys?
Well, yeah, TikTok?
A lot of Ben Shapiro, all right? Big
Okay.
Ben Shapiro listener. So you might get Ben Shapiro talking points out of me, but look, I also pay attention to just what I see in front of my eyes, right? And I think 80 million people do also, and that's kind of why he won.
Yeah, and like Rob, you know what Ben Shapiro does? He kicks people off of the Daily Wire specifically that disagree with him on the Israel-Palestine situation.
Well,
right? That's what he does. He kicks people off.
I'm completely in agreement with him on that. So that's
okay. All right. Megan, thank you so much for the $30 on Cash App. Thank you so much. TJ, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you so much. Brianna, thank you so much for the $1. And Mia, thank you so much for the $5. Thank you so much for Sleepy Rob.
Mulaney, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo for the Ben and Jerry Fund. You know what? That is quite possibly the best fund that has ever been opted by the crowd on my live ever. The Ben and Jerry Fund. There's not much I love more in this world than Ben and Jerry's ice cream. So I really appreciate you for the $10. I cannot wait to get off stream and to go buy another tub. You are phenomenal. I am going to stock my freezer because of you, Mulaney. Thank you. Thank you so much. American Hero, what's up? How old are you?
21.
Did you vote for the same guy Rob did?
I did.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you guys a question, both of you. Would you ever vote for someone that walked up to your 10-year-old daughter and said, I'm going to be dating her in 10 years?
Well, I really didn't join to have a debate. I just joined because, you in part, like Rob here, he's making great talking points. And the bottom line is the Biden administration is the administration that got us out of Afghanistan. Trump was no longer in office.
Okay, you're being a politician. Answer my question.
What was your question?
Well, I mean, look, I think it's kind of disingenuous to come let people in and then ambush them. It doesn't seem like you really want a cogent debate here. I mean, we can talk.
How did we ambush you?
Just a random question that's completely off the line.
Yeah, he's
me asking you a question on a debate live. I'm sorry, you've got to be actually fucking stupid if you're confused that someone on a debate live.
This is why.
I don't care if you think it's bad rhetoric, Rob. You have to actually be stupid to believe that someone on a debate live is not going to ask you a question,
bro.
I'm sorry. What the fuck is wrong with you? You came onto a debate live and it's like playing chess and feeling like, wow, dude, this guy just did a chess move. What the fuck, man?
I haven't said
dude,
anything this whole time. I've been sitting back eating my Ben and Jerry's chocolate fudge ice cream, right? And I've been enjoying the hell out of it. It has been so good, but I've been quite, quiet. All I wanted to do was ask one question. That's all.
All right.
Are you incapable of answering my one question? That's not a very cogent response.
Fair, fine, but I just don't think we're talking about the things that actually matter. I want to believe that you're interested in talking about things that are truly going to be.
I think this matters.
People, but
bring up something that matters. We're allowing you to do that, but you weren't even listening to what we were saying. It's not going to be a productive dialogue if you don't listen.
Once you answer this question, and I'm sure I could demonstrate why it is particularly relevant and pertinent to all American citizens.
We've established, Trump says a lot of shit that people hate. That's a joke in horrible taste, right? I mean,
not one person has answered my question.
Did Bill Clinton get on the
Don't worry,
plane?
Rob.
Who knows? This is these are just kind of ridiculous. I'd like to kind of.
Elise, thank you for the $5 on Venmo. So I'd
like to stay on policy and maybe try to give you guys a little bit of color in terms of why Trump won, and it was so surprising to the left in 2016. This was surprising in 2024.
Facts.
Thank you for the hamster.
There's.
So does anybody have an answer to my question? So I'll just repeat it for the newcomers. Did you ever vote for someone who walked up to your 10-year-old daughter and said, fuck, I'm going to be dating her in 10 years.
I wouldn't vote
Well,
for
it
someone
wasn't
who
in that tone.
sniffed
It
my
wasn't in
10-year-old
that
either.
tone.
Like, it wasn't even close to that tone. Like,
So the way that you say that you're sexualizing a kid matters more than sexualizing
It was an
a kid?
old man quip. It was like when Biden said the same. The kids are playing with my leg. It's these old men. They make these quips, and they're not thinking about it all the time. Like I don't want to be a. I don't
It's
wanna
also
be a creep.
it's also self-effacing. It's like he knows
They-
that he gets made fun of for dating young people.
yeah,
Like, you know,
they'd
it's-
rather not talk about that though.
no, yeah, like
Yeah, their
I-
favorite
I-
candidate has a lot more
I'd like
that
to-
stuff.
I'd like to have a productive debate. Like, you know, we can talk about, you know, we can dissect Trump's tweets and the things that other people said that he said all day, right? But like,
Okay, you want to have a
fundamental
productive debate? You want to have a productive debate? Let's go ahead and do it. So I believe that the main reason that no one should have voted for Donald Trump in the 2020 election, in the 2024 election, had to do with his actions in the 2020 election. In the 2020 election, he tried to stage a coup to rig and install himself for his second presidential term by voiding the voice and the vote of the people. And this is actually not false, insofar as it's demonstrably true that he had admitted to the things in which I just accused him of.
That's completely false. You know, that's
Not completely false at all.
That's not true.
Not completely false at all. So do you affirm that?
He incited a coup. Like,
so are you-
did he tell anyone to be violent? Did he tell anyone to be violent? Did he tell anyone to breach the Capitol?
Like, oh, but I could explain to you how he did inside a soft
No,
coup.
he just made a
So-
tweet that
so-
said "fight like hell."
Are you familiar? Are you familiar with the fake electorate split?
Like him telling Mike Pence to, like, you know, invoke some amendment to
So
do
here's what I did.
something.
So here's what he did. He lost 7 key swing states in the election, that ultimately lost him 2020. And what he did was he sent fake slates of electorates, which are the group of people that will take the certificate of ascertainment from the governor's office, or in other words, the total tally of the vote from the state, and take it to Congress on January 6th to be certified to install the next president. What he did was he sent fake slates of these electorates to the 7 key swing states with fake fraudulent certificates of ascertainment, and then he told them to turn around and send them into Congress for Mike Pence to certify as being real, so he could install himself as the next president of the country and rig the outcome of the election, stealing it from Biden. Everything that I just said is true and has either been proven or admitted to by Trump and by his personal lawyers, such as Rudy Giuliani and John Eastman.
Yeah. So at one point, and what evidence do you have that he staged a coup against the government?
So when we like to talk about sending the false slates of electorates, well, he admitted to this both in the January 6 indictments with Jack Smith, as well as to the Supreme Court by calling it an official act of his presidency. Insofar as having the fraudulent certificates of ascertainment, we have pictures of them that were recorded by Congress, as well as the reports that were made via email from the state's governor's office to Congress on January 6th, as they're publicly available on archives.gov. And then overwhelmingly, like, the plot as a whole was just admitted to and called an official act of the presidency so he could avoid criminal immunity. And then, you know, this was sufficiently proven to strip both John Eastman and Rudy Giuliani from their law licenses.
Look,
So
he tried to stage a coup.
Straight cooked, bro.
He tried to stage a coup as the president. No, he didn't. It's just not true.
Did you just hear anything he said? Can you repeat what he just said?
I would like for us to be dealing with the same set of information, right? Like,
Yeah, can you
I don't
repeat
know.
what he just said?
I don't know if I'm underinformed that Trump sent fake electorate slates and then tried to get Mike Pence to like confirm him as president. Clearly, you know, like, what, you think he was trying to steal the presidency covertly, as if this wasn't, like, you know, like, he clearly thinks he won. I don't agree with the
He
idea.
literally
that
tried to
he
steal
won.
it.
All right, I don't agree with the idea that he won. The evidence isn't there.
He also went to the DOJ with Bill Barr and told them to falsely announce widespread voter fraud, even though they hadn't found any. And Bill Barr was going to do it until half of the DOJ threatened to resign if he did.
Look, I'm not like debating that these are, like, not good things that Trump did. It's emblematic of him not being a politician. That comes with pros and cons. Right now,
Well, that's the biggest internal attack that we've had on our democracy since the Civil War. I don't think that's someone that we should put in that position of power twice.
I mean, like, what are you exactly concerned about now? That he's going to run for a third term?
I think that many concerns would exist. We obviously don't have a crystal ball, so we can't tell the future. But there's likely outcomes of him trying to do it again, but with someone else, such as, okay, you've gotten like 3 flags.
Yeah, you can drop me if you want to.
Well, it's okay. I don't know why I keep on getting flagged.
Yeah, it's really weird.
You could do it with J.D. Vance. He could do it with his son. He could try to do it with himself. The point is that he already tried to stress test the bounds of our democracy. He shouldn't be allowed another shot to try it again.
Well, I mean, Joe Biden became the president at the end of the day. Checks and balances worked. Trump, probably doesn't love checks and balances, and that's not something that I love about him, right?
The only thing that stood in his way, and the reason that he failed, was that he thought his appointees, such as Mike Pence and Bill Maher, would just blindly go along with his plan because he told them to, and he put those in those positions of power. But he very rudely figured out that that wasn't the case. The only reason he's not a president right now is because of Mike Pence not certifying, the false slates of electorates.
And good.
With their unofficial certificates of ascertainment. But now, now he knows what to do in that situation by appointing individuals who will do exactly what he wants. For instance, J.D. Vance was asked specifically if he was a vice president on January 5th, would he have certified the false certificates of ascertainment and postponed the election? And he said yes. Right? So I just believe, principally speaking, that we shouldn't vote someone to be president that has tried to literally coup the country, rig the outcome of an election.
I didn't like January 6th. I think January 6th was bad, and I don't think he won.
It was bad enough for him to never be voted for. Is my argument.
And I think Joe Biden, his administration, and his mental incapacity, and the entire paradigm around that in the Democratic Party is going to kill the Democratic Party. And I see exactly why Trump.
Joe Biden wasn't running. I mean, you could argue that Joe Biden had he didn't have sufficient mental capacity to represent the class that we'd want to see in the White House, which I may agree with. But ultimately speaking, his policy was pretty damn good. And he wasn't running for a second term, right? We were voting for Kamala Harris, who I don't think you could hold that same argument against. In fact, I'd even make the argument that Kamala Harris has more mental capacities compared to Donald Trump, right? The guy who's screaming about cats and dogs and illegal transgender aliens getting sex reassignment surgeries, saying that he won 2020 and how windmills cause cancer, and he got in a helicopter crash with Willie Brown, with one of his close advisors reporting that he can't tell the difference between what is true and what is false. Of course, I'm going to say that Kamala Harris is going to be more mentally prepared for the White House than he is. That's completely aside from the point of January 6th, right? With Donald Trump launching the biggest internal attack on our democracy since the Civil War, absolutely ruling him out, principally speaking, from ever to be voted by any rational person ever again. That's just if it was an undocumented migrant, for instance, that did all the things Trump tried to do, the whole calling for the termination of the Constitution, trying to rig an outcome of an election, raping a woman, committing 34 felonies, yada, 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 yada.
Okay, great.
You'd probably fucking call him a terrorist, right?
Raping a woman. So, did Biden not? Tara Reid, are we believing all women or are we not, right?
Oh, well,
so
Tara Reid alleged that Biden had raped her, and then she contradicted her own story in court. It was so bad that her lawyer ended up dropping her as a client. It was so bad that she ended up dropping the prosecution against Biden. It was so bad that she then ended up fleeing to Russia and joining a right-leaning misinformation campaign, right? The difference between Tara Reid and E. Jean Carroll was that E. Jean Carroll kept a consistent story, came with evidence, and convinced the unanimous jury of 9 that Donald Trump had raped her. So I don't think that you would have a paralleled situation on your hands. Right, but then once again, even if it was the case that Biden was held civilly liable for sexual abuse, I was still going to vote for Kamala Harris, an individual that has not even been accused.
Look, I the grape thing is the biggest smear of all time and is just completely ridiculous. Are we believing all women or are we not? It's really
Rob, you're being incredibly intellectually dishonest.
Comes down to that.
Well, actually, doesn't boil down to that at all, and you're being incredibly dishonest. So, first of all, the movement of Believe All Women has to do with listening to women that report they get raped, and assuming that it is true for social repercussions. Right. However, this doesn't mean that we need to believe a woman that accuses a man of rape, then contradicts their story, gets dropped by their lawyer as a client, drops their case, flees to Russia, and joins a misinformation campaign. I'd say that we have sufficient evidence to prove that Tara Reid was lying, but of course, you're not going to sit here and accept that because you're a partisan hack that would rather, engage in conspiratorial nonsense. So you want to compare someone that got dropped as a client, contradict their own story multiple times, and fly to another country and join a misinformation campaign, compared to an individual that accused Donald Trump of rape, kept a consistent story, and proved it in a civil court by convincing a jury of 9 unanimously that he was guilty. There's no comparison to be made. There's absolutely no parallel, but you cannot deal with that fact, and you'll continue to reiterate the fact that there is a parallel.
So he was never held criminally liable. He never saw a day in jail. There was never sufficient evidence brought against him to actually do that.
Oh, that's a false claim.
Responsible or something.
What you just said was false. Justify the claim that there's not sufficient evidence to prove that Donald Trump is guilty of rape in a criminal court.
Okay, I don't have the entire case notes in front of me.
So
but
you have no
can we take
fucking
a-
argument. So
can
you're
we take a
saying
pause
shit.
really quick?
You're
And
saying
you don't
shit.
and you don't really have one for Tara Reid either. But can we just?
Oh
take
wait,
a
I just
pause
gave
really
it to you.
quick?
Wait,
Can we
what
take a
about
pause?
Tara Reid? She didn't. Her claims didn't even make it through court because her lawyer dropped her because she contradicted her story. Then she fled to another country and joined a misinformation campaign. Are you
Look.
kidding me?
Look, like I don't want to get fired up like in the same way that you guys are kind of getting fired up right now. And I think we should probably stop with the name calling. Like it doesn't do well.
Yeah, talk
for
about
your
emotions
credibility.
and.
It doesn't do well for you guys' credibility, and I think it
Apparently,
Yeah,
doesn't
talk-
affect Trump
doesn't do
negatively.
you a
Yeah,
disservice.
Talk about emotions and like optics rather than the substance of debate because you're fucking losing.
Yeah, facts over feelings, Rob. What happened to facts over feelings?
This is the
I thought
entire
you were a Ben
problem.
Shapiro guy.
This is the entire problem. Like I'm actually not interested in like winning this debate with you guys. Okay, like I want to provide my perspective and maybe the perspective that you may not be in touch with millions and millions and millions of Americans. Okay, like I'm not interested in winning. Interested in this kind of
No, we're interested in like being fact.
Bro, Rob, buddy, you gotta calm down, bro. I'm not. I won't even say that I'm getting too emotional. I'm just coming at you with the facts, and I'm coming at you with the facts hard,
you're
right?
doing the
Like
whole-
you've been
you're-
absolutely fucking steamed, cooked
you're doing
to
the
perfection
whole-
on this
you're
topic,
doing the whole name
and
calling
you
thing, and
cannot
we're-
give me an argument.
and we're doing this again. Like
Rob,
I got teams, I got
Rob,
like, this
I
is
want a
not
yes or no.
something I'm
I want a yes or
interested
no. I want a yes or no. Do you have a counter argument against my claims about Donald Trump January 6th and how you'd call an undocumented migrant that did those same things a terrorist, but yet you want to vote for him as president? And my
What?
position that we should
What-
never
what-
vote
what is
for
that?
someone.
What does that even mean? Undocumented migrant? Like I have no
Oh,
idea.
so you weren't even listening to what I was saying. Well, I said this about 5 minutes ago. I said if it was an undocumented
You're, like,
migrant that
screaming
tried
and
to
calling back
coup
and
the
calling
country,
names.
rig the outcome of an election, and called for the termination of our constitution, you'd probably call them a terrorist.
So I mean, look, like I don't have the actual evidence. Like maybe the election was rigged. Like I don't know, right? I genuinely don't know, and like you actually don't know either, despite like what you may claim, right? Like whether or
So
not.
what
the
burden
actual-
of what burden of proof do you
There
take
was
to
no
claim to
incitement-
knowledge?
there was no
I'd say that we
incitement to violence.
absolutely do
There
know
was no incitement to violence. There was no
that
coup.
Biden
There was
had
no
won the
coup
2020
organized by
election.
Donald Trump. Like none of these things like actually really hold water, and they clearly don't hold water with the American people either.
Rob, he admitted to it. What the fuck do you mean it doesn't hold water? You're just saying shit. Your counter argument's literally nuh-uh because
The
you didn't
idea-
listen to a
the
single
idea-
thing that I said. You
the
probably
idea
didn't
that he
comprehend half of
incited
it, even when you
coup.
did try to listen. So
The
instead
idea
of
that-
actually giving me a sufficient counter rebuttal to deem my position as false, you just say, nuh-uh, I don't agree with you. Neither does a populist majority of America. Well, it seems
I
like
think-
you want to appeal
look,
to a populist opinion. Well,
the
I have a
outcomes-
question. What was a populist opinion about the shape of the earth 200 years ago?
Look, the outcomes of Donald Trump and his actions are just empirically better. Like I don't agree with his attempt, like kind of sort of attempt to like take the election that was certified and went through all these processes, and there really isn't sufficient evidence to say that it was stolen. Like I don't agree with that, right? But the actual outcomes weren't like that didn't do anything, right? The actual outcomes of Biden's policies and this administration have really done some irreversible damage to the country.
Like what?
Genuinely. I mean, we can just talk about the border really quickly, right? I mean, what
So what policy
happened?
did he pass?
Wait,
How
what
did
is
it
Trump's
affect the
border policy?
To increase funding to ICE and
Like the bipartisan border bill?
that was like loaded with like tons of stuff that was just unconscionable and was
Like what?
Look, this is like empirical evidence, right?
No, tell me what in the bill do you disagree with? Come on.
There is fundamentally empirical evidence that when Biden got into office, he reversed the Trump border policies and immigration.
Whoa, dude, what in the bipartisan border bill do you disagree with?
No, how about what part of Trump's 2016 to 2020 agenda on the border? did you
Come
disagree?
on, like, are you actually not going to respond?
Why was it gone?
What
Why
a
did they
fucking
need a new
politician,
bill?
Rob! You are
Why
such a
did they need a
snake.
new bill?
You are such a snake. Why are you not
Why did they
answering the
need a new
question?
bill? I
Are you
wanna
not
know why-
answering? Rob, this
I
is not a
wanna
good
know
look when
why
you
they needed a new
Hey, Rob,
bill
this is
first.
not like rhetorically good, like when you don't answer questions like a politician. You
I
know,
want
people
to-
like that doesn't give you a lot of credibility, Rob.
I want an answer to why they'd even.
I
need
want
a
an
new
answer
bill.
to the question that I asked you that you so desperately don't want to answer.
I mean, it seems like you guys don't want to answer this one either.
Wait, no,
Says
they
the one who
needed a-
won't answer my question. I'll answer right after you answer mine.
I'll
I
just
didn't-
answer it in
like,
5 seconds
look.
real quick. They needed a bill to resolve the crisis onset by the expiration of Title
I
42
didn't
and the
read- I
background
didn't
amount of
read the
migrants
bill.
at the southern border
I'll admit it.
as
I didn't read
onset
the bill.
by
And guess
deprived
what?
socioeconomic conditions in southern Latin American countries. Now answer Parker's question.
I didn't read the bill is the answer to the question. And
Okay, but you just said it was filled with pork.
Place.
You just said you don't like it. So what do you mean you don't like it, but you haven't even read the bill?
I
you talking
assume
about?
so I have to use some inference because I didn't read the bill. I assume that there were some things that Republican lawmakers found unconscionable in the bill that caused them to not pass
Okay,
it.
but they were
I have
going to
make-
pass
I
it,
have
and
to
the
make
only
that
reason they
assumption.
didn't is because Donald Trump called them to not pass it. Because he
I
didn't
don't-
want to make Democrats look
See,
good.
I don't know if that's true. You could be spreading completely.
No,
like,
Trump said blame it on me if the border bill fails.
Mitch McConnell, Ted Cruz, Lindsey Graham, they all reported
Donald
that
Trump
Trump
wasn't the
torpedoed it.
president. He wasn't the
You
president.
don't have to be the president, Rob. What the
Biden
fuck?
could have signed. Biden could have signed an executive order
And he did.
any time to close the border. Any time, right? Any time at all. You don't.
Yeah,
need
and Trump
to
could have done a
bill.
remain in Mexico day one, but he waited until 2019.
And he did it, right? And Biden.
Oh, and so did
did
Biden.
it.
Biden did it too.
Did what
He
exactly?
did an executive order.
To close the border.
Yeah, we're currently at lower levels of crossings right now than we were at the end of Trump's administration.
And I mean, now you're attributing things that were clearly attributable to COVID.
This is what I mean, Rob. When you only watch Ben Shapiro, you have a completely distorted view of reality.
And I think you also have a distorted view of reality. But mine
Why?
is
Why?
fun.
What
I
was my
like
distorted
mine.
view? What was my distorted view?
That you consume the same media the same fake media that said
What fake
Biden's
media?
cognitively fine.
Wait, what fake media? Tell me.
I'm
The-
done
the
with
fake-
you.
the fake
I'm done
media
with
that-
Rob because he can't answer anything.
Rob, seriously, what fake
And he
media? I
ultimately just,
actually wanna know.
pivots back
fake
to
media
Biden's
that
mental
completely
state.
destroyed their reputation.
What
by,
fake media? Tell me what specifically.
MSNBC, CNN.
I don't listen to. No, I didn't do that. I said AP News, NPR, and PBS. Which one's
Like
fake?
when you watch like the Young Turks and shit too. Like
No.
like this like just jokes of organizations. Like
Oh,
this is, like,
what you said? You gave your sources the Daily Wire and Ben Shapiro.
Oh,
I
yeah,
gave
I
you
like
AP
'em.
News.
Oh, yeah,
I
I
gave
like
you
'em.
NPR, and I gave you PBS. Who's actually getting the good information?
I'm
I'm looking independent media. You're looking to fucking Ben Shapiro, dude.
PBS is not independent. NPR
Yes, it
is not
is.
independent. They
Yes,
so,
it is.
They so clearly have agendas.
They are all independent. What's the agenda?
Clearly have agendas. Like
What agenda?
to just be a talking head for the Democrat
They're
administration.
not talking it for the Democrats. They're independent. PBS is public broadcasting system. It has public funding. It can't be partisan.
Oh yeah, I'm sure that stops it, right? I'm sure that really stops
Oh,
it.
tell me what they've done that's partisan.
It's so clear. Like you just put people on the spot like this. Like people in your chat and everyone else.
Put
around
people on the
country
spot. You
knows-
came onto my live,
You know-
Dean's live. You
That is
decided
true.
to sit in the guest box. It's your decision.
Hey, look.
If
hey,
you want
look.
women to have accountability with abortions, you can't have accountability with
That's a
coming
good
onto a
point.
debate live.
That's a good point. I mean, like, are we changing topics to abortion? I like. What?
I'm just giving an example because you do believe that. I bet you're pro-life.
Actually, no. I'm actually not.
Surprise.
We can get into that. Like, we might actually have a little bit of overlap on that. Look, I do think that the messaging from a lot of the pro-choice movement is not healthy. Particularly, the Bill Clinton stance on abortion was safe, legal, and rare, which acknowledged at least some level of moral, something morally a little bit off with it, right? Like that at least acknowledged it, that messaging. Now it's like safe, legal, and like affordable, or like something like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it should be.
I mean, in what way? I mean, like you see nothing morally wrong with it. Like
No, I see nothing morally wrong with it prior to sentience. Absolutely not.
I mean, like
What's morally wrong?
all like at what stage?
Nope, not at all.
At 8 months, at 9 months.
The only
So
thing
do you know when
wrong-
sentience begins?
The only thing wrong I see with abortion, right, is just the unnecessary like pain that a woman has to go through with the unwanted pregnancy prior to herself getting an abortion, and any pain that would come along with the abortion. But the actual death of the fetus, who gives a shit?
Look, I actually like I think we overlap probably more on this issue than a lot of other issues. What I would love to see happen with abortion is just at the federal level, 3 months. I think that's an 80%, kind of resolution to this issue. Like, I like what? Dean, something funny, huh?
Yeah.
Like is
What's
there something
morally
wrong with
significant
that?
about 3 months?
There's nothing morally significant about any months, right? Like there's
Okay. All right. Well,
Like-
thanks for your arbitrary line.
the
chat
no,
wants to-
no,
the
wait,
chat
wait.
wants to
Why,
kick
so
Yeah, that was brutal.